Hi, everyone. I think we may just give everyone just another minute to get into the webinar. So it's 3 minutes past the hour, so I'll give it 2 more minutes because usually, yeah, as I see the attendees, we're getting more people popping in. Yeah, I still see a few more. I keep seeing numbers pop in and out, so, or not pop out, but coming in. So give it 1 more minute and then we'll start the presentation. Okay, it is 5 past, so let's start. So first, thank you everybody for joining the webinar today. We are very excited to talk about this major release of iMachining for NX. All right, I will stop sharing my webcam now. That way we can focus on presentation and my screen. Okay, and screen should be showing. Let's start our slideshow. So our newest version, called iMachining for NX 2021, this is a major update to our iMachining for NX integration. This new version represents a major leap in the integration method. iMachining for NX now shares the same code base as our SolidCam and InventorCam products. What does this mean for our customers? It means all features added to iMachining in SolidCam and InventorCam are automatically available in iMachining for NX. This also means that our release schedule will closely match SolidCam and InventorCam versions in the future. Additionally, some additional features that are part of SolidCam were not available in iMachining for NX previously. A specific example is the SolidCam simulator, which is now available for iMachining for NX. New features. In a general sense, iMachining for NX is adding all iMachining features that came between SolidCam 2016 to SolidCam 2021. iMachining for NX 2021 is fully synchronized with SolidCam 2021 and InventorCam 2021. Here's a list of some of the biggest features added. So we have feature recognition, finishing options for iMachining 2D, pre-drilling, floor fillets, minimum helical entry, new iMachining database, downloadable toolpath engine, etc. So we can talk a little bit deeper about some of these. So the new geometry definition modes. So for everybody, we're familiar with the feature recognition and iMachining 2D. So this feature recognition is now available also in iMachining for NX. So as everybody knows, we have feature recognition by faces, by chains, outside feature recognition, and chains without feature recognition. And this is all to make geometry selection and to remove any need for sketches and things like that. This also now includes all of the finishing options that we've added for iMachining through the years. So this means that, for example, this is iRough and iFinish. iFinish, I think, was always available, but iFinish has been updated. We also support finish after finish, which means we support smaller tools finishing in corners after bigger tools have finished, the majority of the walls and floors. We've added floor finishing styles. So you can either machine the floor with an iMachining toolpath, or you can do it with a contour option. Contour option is very good for soft materials and things where you can take a small amount of material on the floor, but still a big step over without damaging the cutter. We also have our cutting directions. So you can now do climb and conventional, or we can do zigzag climb and zigzag conventional. This is mainly used for soft materials like aluminum. All of the finish feeds and speeds are also available. So we have the ability to set individual feeds for finishing walls, finishing floors, finishing helicals, and the same thing, we have the same options for spin and for feed. These are all calculated by the technology wizard, but we have our override checkboxes to be able to provide our own values. We've also enhanced the pre-drilling. In the previous version of NX, we did have pre-drilling, but now the pre-drilling is enhanced to where it now understands about the tip of the pre-drill. So as you can see here on the example on the left, the tool is now able to plunge inside of a hole where the drill body was, and then just do helical entry just for the tip. If you have a through hole, it will just, as the example here, if your body of your drill is able to go all the way through without any tip of the drill, you can just do direct plunging and start from that hole. And pre-drill support is also available in iMachining 3D. This also includes our redesigned material database, and this now has the ability for groups, and the groups provide us the ability to more accurately calculate the cutting forces. And additionally, there is also much, I would say there's probably about 3 to 5 more parameters that are available in the machine database that weren't available previously, like the machinability factor. There's also the overrides for finishing walls and floors. We have also the selectable size for the minimum helical radius. So in the past, it was always limited to 170% of the helical rate of the tool radius. And this is generally because it's necessary to have a big helical entry to get the chips out of the way. But in certain materials and certain tools, they can actually support smaller helical entry diameters. So we also have this available in iMachining for NX. And this is also good for tools that have spindle through coolant or air blast that can get the chips out of there. Along with the feature recognition, that was also added the option for 3D positioning in iMachining 2D. So iMachining 2D now has the ability to do smart retracts and repositioning with keeping the tool down. And this is using the updated dynamic, or the updated stock, or as it's called in NX, the IPW. Here's just a quick example of what you see between the two. So with 3D positioning off, this is using iRough plus iFinish. We're finishing the floor and finishing the wall. So what you get without 3D positioning in the previous versions is that every time it would go from the main roughing toolpath, so let's say finishing the floor, you would get 1 retract. So you can see there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 6 retracts going between the different finishing and roughing stages. But with 3D positioning on, you can see that the tool is able to stay down the entire time. So the tool is just transitioning from toolpath to toolpath without having to retract. And those are some of the main highlights. The what's new, I think, is something like 50 some pages. So those were just some of the high level features I wanted to be able to talk about, but there is a lot of features that were added. So let's go take a look at the iMachining for NX project. Now, if we look at iMachining for NX, the only major difference you'll see from the previous versions is that, at least from the onset of looking at the product, is we now have an iMachining ribbon. So now in the iMachining ribbon, we now have the ability to set certain things. So we'll be able to go to about iMachining and find out about the versions. You can go to the settings, you can quit iMachining, or you can get to the iMachining database. Previously, in the previous versions, to get to the iMachining database, you had to do it from inside the UDOP. So let's go add some toolpath. So we'll say insert operation. We will pull down the operation type called iMachining. So here we have our choices of iMachining 3D or iMachining 2D. We're going to pick iMachining 2D and hit OK. We're going to pick our tool, which I already have selected. If I say edit display, we can see what it is. We got a 16 millimeter tool. We will go to the UDOP. So now for any of our resellers that are, if this is maybe the first time looking at iMachining for NX, one thing you see different than our other integrations is that the iMachining dialog is actually integrated into Siemens NX. So you're going to see all the same buttons and controls and everything you have. It just is laid out using the native Siemens NX interface. So I'm going to switch to faces recognition. I'm going to specify my geometry. And first thing I want to do is, let's say I just want to machine this singular face. So we'll pick the face. You can see we get our geometry preview. And if we switch over to the part navigator, we can turn on, I think it's the first bounding box. Yep. So the first bounding box here is the stock. So what you can see is the feature recognition has automatically taken that face and extended it and trimmed it out to the updated stock. And then you can see we have like a little wall here that protects the tool from rolling around the corner. I can hide that. We can go to, let's say, the iMachining wizard. In the iMachining wizard, we have all the same things that we have in SolidCAM and InventorCAM. So we have our cutting angles, we have modify cutting conditions. So all the parameters that are available are in SolidCAM are also available here in iMachining for NX. We can switch, let's say, the machining level to level 8. We'll see the engagement angle go up a little bit. And now let's just calculate our toolpath. So here we see our iMachining toolpath. If we like, we can do a simulation on it. So we'll do 3D dynamic. Let me slow this down a little bit because I think that'll be pretty fast. As we're all familiar with, iMachining is always doing deep depth of cuts. So obviously everybody here knows, what to expect and what to see from iMachining. So we machined this pocket. As I said, it extended it out. The feature recognition automatically extended it out, automatically determined the upper level based on the updated stock, and gave us a perfect tool path without having to do any geometry picking. We didn't have to set any levels. So this is a huge upgrade for our customers in NX. We can accept that operation. We can either copy and paste, or you can just add a new operation again. I'm just going to add a new operation just because it's nice to show the workflow here for people. So once again, the operation type is iMachining 2D. We're going to hit OK. We'll pick the same tool that we used before. We go to the UDOP, and we're going to do recognition by faces again. But now this time, I'm going to pick this top face. So as we understand, trying to pick this top face is quite an interesting thing geometrically to understand, well, how are we going to cut this top face, because there's material almost everywhere around this part. The feature recognition automatically gives us our result. We can see that this face was automatically brought out to cover the entire region, because basically this is an open pocket into this entire area. It is using the true updated stock, or as Siemens NX calls it, IPW for in-process workpiece. So we can see that this toolpath here that we first created, which machined out this pocket over here, we can see that the feature recognition code automatically updated itself to that updated stock, so we won't be cutting air there. If we go into some of the parameters, let's say we go into non-cutting moves, we have all the same options we're used to seeing, all the helical entry and everything. Underneath the 3D positioning, we have passes through clearance level. So what this is going to do is every time it goes between regions, this is going to pick up back to the clearance level instead of just going up the 80 microns above the stock or target and moving across. Go to the wizard, take a look at what we got, 67 degrees engagement angle, because it's a shallow depth of cut. I think that's pretty good. I see no reason to have to increase the machining level. We can calculate the toolpath. So here we can see the standard iMachining toolpath. As I said, I picked that option to return to the clearance plane between passes. So this jumps up over here between just these two spots and these two regions. We can accept it. So in NX, you can simulate from in the operation like I showed the first time, or if we go to the ribbon, we can highlight an operation and then say verify toolpath. We'll pick 3D dynamic again. When we hit play, it is using, it's taking up from where the previous operation was. And there's our machining for that face. So I mean, everything I'm showing here, I think hopefully everybody's getting the feeling that this is iMachining in SolidCam and InventorCam. All the same options are all available, all sitting here. So we'll close out the 2D part for right now, and let's switch over to iMachining 3D. Oh, I left my two toolpaths in here. Let me delete these guys. Okay. I think all of everybody in SolidCam is familiar with seeing this part here. So we're gonna do the same thing as we did before. So we can either right click and add an operation, or we can do it from the ribbon. I'll do it from the ribbon this time. We'll pick 3D iMachining. I have two tools here. Mill, I think this is the right one. Let's just hit, yep, this is our 16 millimeter. This is the larger tool. We will open up the 3D iMachining operation. Once again, you got the same features we know everywhere, working areas, 3D general versus prismatic for the technology type. I can go to cut levels, and let's just say I only want to machine down to this face. We go into the iMachining wizard. Once again, we can see what feeds and speeds we got. So 323 meters per minute. That's our chip thickness. Cutting angles 38. Let's just bump that up a little bit. We'll get a little bit faster feed rate. So that's 8,500 RPMs. We'll accept this, and let's just calculate our toolpath. Let's see, did I? Yep, 3D general, this, okay. iMachining 3D obviously takes a little bit longer than iMachining 2D to calculate, which everybody is familiar with. Okay, so here's our iMachining 3D. I will turn off select toolpath. So these options here in the ribbon, display toolpath and select toolpath. When there's a big toolpath on the screen, it slows down the geometry rotating a little bit because you can actually pick on the toolpath directly here in NX. So we'll accept the operation. I will just right click, and same thing here. So with NX, very similar to SolidCam, you can get the things through the right click menu or through the ribbon. So we can do verify right click, or we can verify this way. We'll do 3D dynamic, which is similar to our solid verify. As we see with iMachining 3D, it always does our deepest depth of cut, and then we use our step up scallop, and we work our way up the model to finish machining the 3D. Okay, so there's our main roughing toolpath with our large 16mm tool. If we want to do some analyzing, we can press the analyze button, and this is actually going to compare, what's the deviation between the stock and the target. So this gives us our heat map. If we look at the heat map, we can see that there's obviously extra material in all of the areas here where the 16mm tool couldn't get into. So this is pretty standard. We're always roughing with larger tools, and then we need to come back in with smaller tools and rest machine or semi-finish these operate the stock. So what I will do is we're going to do exactly that now. So in this case, we can just copy paste the operation. So we can copy paste the first operation. I'll edit this operation. This time I'm going to switch to my smaller tool. So this is my 8mm tool. And we'll click generate. Now we're getting down to a smaller tool. So there's actually going to be a bit more tool path to calculate. So the tool path takes a little bit longer to actually calculate because now it's analyzing the in-process stock or the updated stock and trying to see where all the areas that 16mm tool couldn't cut and where this new 8mm tool can cut. Okay, so it finished. I will hit OK. What we're seeing now on the screen is actually both the first operation and the second operation. So let me just turn both of these off. I have the display toolpath option on, so everybody can see the result of the toolpath pretty quickly, but it does slow up the NX quite a bit when you're doing this, when you have the display toolpath on. So we're going to, let's verify this toolpath. We're in 3D dynamic and we'll hit play. So now the smaller tool, the 8mm tool, is going through and cleaning up all the areas that the larger tool couldn't, using the scallop-based step up. We're getting a very short and very optimized toolpath here while it goes back in and cleans out these main bulky areas where the 16mm tool couldn't get into. As we see, even this floor here, it couldn't get into it. And we'll let the toolpath finish. We can even speed it up. Okay, now we can go back to our analyze. And we can take a look and see how much better the stock looks in comparison to the target model. Okay, from my side, looks much nicer. As we can see, all that material that was in these little pockets back here, down here. We still have some material down in here because I think we would need even a little bit smaller tool to get all the way down to that floor. I think that might even have a little bit of it might not be perfectly flat. I can't remember. But so there's iMachining. There is iMachining 3D. Let's go. I'm going to go back to the 2D part, and let's just show close all parts. Let's go back to the 2D part, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show the SolidCam simulator. So the SolidCam simulator is we're going to have a button here in the ribbon. We didn't get a chance to add it for the presentation today. I hope next week it will be added with the release. So what this does is when the toolpath is generated, after it's calculated, we will launch the SolidCam simulator, and this loads up the IPW from NX and the target and the tool definition. So this is only using the iMachining operation. So as we know with NX, when you're in NX, it is their CAM product. So we are only inserting individual iMachining either 2D or iMachining 3D operations in their CAM project. So the SolidCam simulator, it is not meant to simulate NX toolpaths or anything like that. It is just for simulating the iMachining toolpath we calculate. I'll switch over to the default. Now, one of the reasons we thought this would be nice to add is that for all of our technicians, it really gives a familiar tool to be able to analyze toolpath. And let's say with iMachining, one of the most important things is to understand the toolpath, right? So being able to use a SolidCam simulator just gives another tool to our technicians, and also something you can even show to customers to be able to analyze toolpath a little differently than the tools provided in NX. For instance, like one feature we have is the ability for stationary tool. And this is really nice for NX for iMachining, because with stationary tool, we can have a top-down view on the tool while the simulation is cutting. And what's really nice about this is it really gives you the ability to see how the tool is engaging in the material, and also how the tool is just progressing through the cut. So this isn't a matter of a necessity, this isn't a tool that a customer needs to use to go out to the machine to cut apart. But if you want to be able to kind of analyze the toolpath a little bit, understand what's going on, the SolidCam simulator has some nice options to it that can allow you to interrogate the toolpath in a different way than what you can do with the NX simulation. We can just turn that back off, simulate the toolpath again. And we also have the ability for the recording mode. So you have the recording mode. And once again, this is only the ability to simulate an individual toolpath that we calculate for iMachining for NX. This is not something where we can highlight, all of the operations in NX and be able to simulate them as you can in SolidCam. It's just a snapshot simulation of just the individual toolpath. And when you're done, you can just close it. So that kind of concludes just kind of the live presentation on iMachining for NX. I mean, I wasn't going to get very deep in technical stuff. I do believe I'm going to do another presentation for just our technicians. It might just be something we do recorded that will go a little bit deeper into, let's say, the integration and how it works, because obviously for all of us, selling the product and supporting it, it's important for our technicians to be able to understand how the integration works and what's going on, a little bit deeper stuff in the background. But that's not so necessary for this. So I want to go over a few other things with the integration, or the new version that we did. So there is now a new installer, and this might not seem very exciting, but this is actually a pretty big thing with Siemens NX. Unlike SolidCam and InventorCam, they kind of follow a different way of how you integrate your add-in to those products. It's actually like an add-in. With NX, it doesn't work that way. They have a different way of doing it. And one of the things we learned through the years was that NX is very configurable, and it's very customizable for large companies to be able to set up their environments and their software in unique ways. And so being able to do the connection for SolidCam is unique. So now we have a new installer. This new installer, a couple main bullet points with it is it's an MSI installer. It is a single install for all of the supported NX versions, and all of our supported languages. So in the previous version, we had separate installs for like NX9, NX10, 12, 1953. For anyone who doesn't know, NX has now gone to, they call it a continuous release, where every 6 months they release a new version of NX, but they don't give it names anymore. However, they do have a version number that the version I'm currently using on my computer is 1953. So every time there is a new version, it does require a new connection for that code base of theirs. What we have developed also is a connector tool. So this connector tool, it basically allows support for multiple NX versions. So on your computer, you could actually have 2 or 3 NX versions. This is probably something that I think is more related to us as technicians, but I think many customers generally will have 1 or 2 NX versions, especially as they upgrade, right? So like you do have a situation where you're going to have customers that might have 2 versions installed. I think most will only have 1. This new NX connector tool, it's a much more advanced connection tool that actually interrogates the NX installation. As I said, Siemens NX it's very configurable on the install. It's something very unique for their large customers and how they like to manage and roll out their software. Because I mean, you're finding NX, you're going into a customer that can have hundreds of Siemens NX seats, so they have really configurable installation methods. So this connector tool, we worked with Siemens to actually develop it to understand some of the more advanced tools that they have for their installation. And this configuration tool now is really, really, really good. You have your list of NX versions, and we also have, and it's quite clear how you do the install, modify, and it even shows where the paths of Siemens NX are and what version of iMachining for NX it is. This tool also allows us to update an installation, not update an installation, let me rephrase that, do a new connection to an NX version without having to reinstall iMachining for NX. So what this means is that if a customer updates their NX, they do not have to go download a new version of iMachining for NX and run and install and modify and do that. They can just go directly to the start menu, and this connector tool is inside of the iMachining for NX start menu. I'll fire it up. I'll just fire it up real quick. Let's say we go to iMachining for NX and we go to the NX installer utility. So this tool is available through the start menu, and it will automatically pop up that there's a new version and you can install it. There is also even a plus button where you can go add a specific NX installation path. As I said, NX can be installed in very unique ways. So this connector tool is supporting automatically the best we can, and also providing some manual options to fix and manually find directories and stuff, which is not something that should have to happen very often, but it is something that may be necessary. And last, if you need help, there are basically 2 of us at the moment that you can reach out to. For software support, you can reach out to Chris. As everybody knows, he's the iMachining product manager, so he is, he's the guy here for any software support, how anything's working in NX, how the installation, if you have any, questions on the installation or anything related to iMachining for NX, technical questions, you can go to Chris. Of course, in the future, everybody at SolidCam will be familiar with iMachining for NX, so this will be a standard thing. We'll be able to go directly to, support and get support from everybody. And as you see, the nice part is that this is really closely, and it is using the same code as SolidCam and InventorCam, so the products are much more aligned. And you can contact me if you need NX licenses. So for any of our resellers that do not currently have NX licenses, if you need anything related to NX licenses and getting them, contact me, reach out to me, and I will I'll get you set up with NX licenses. And how to download iMachining for NX. So right now, everybody can just go to the SolidCam Dev FTP site. I didn't put the full thing here, but everybody knows the full path, and you will see the iMachining for NX version, the EXE to download. Next week, it will be available on the iMachining for NX website underneath the downloads, along with the previous versions of iMachining for NX. And that is it. Let's see if anybody has any questions. Let's see, hold on, I need to pop out the panel because, okay. Let's go through our questions here. Is the version, okay, is the version released? So no, the version is not officially released on the website. As I said, next week we'll be releasing, SP0. As with all of our products, this is a new version, so we'll be putting out hot fixes. Let's say I get probably 5-10 resellers downloading and using it and coming to us with stuff. I suspect we'll probably be putting out a hot fix, every couple weeks. I'm sorry, not every couple weeks, maybe 2 to 4 weeks we'll put out a hot fix. So, this is, I would say the rollout should be very similar to what we do in SolidCam, right? We put out SP0, we feel comfortable with it. As you see, the product works. We get it in the hands of the resellers. You guys try it. You let us know if you have any problems and such. So, so that's the release schedule. That's what we're going to do. What is the earliest release of NX Cam that we support? The earliest release that this supports is NX 9. So we support from NX 9 through NX 1956, or maybe they just released a new one, 1973. I can't remember. So at the moment, there is something like, if we go to the installer tool again, I allow editing. So we support 9. So here's the list of versions: 9, 10, 11, 12, 18, 1926, and 1953. 1984, the latest. Now, so this is an interesting thing to understand about NX. There are major versions and base versions. So when you download an NX version, this connector tool, even though it's for 1926, it technically supports a few versions of NX because, as I said, they now have this continuous release schedule that they do, where they release every 3 to 6 months, and not every release requires a new connector from their side. So every time they modify the code base in a certain way, then you have to provide a new connector for it. So, and this is what we do. Let's see what other questions we got here. Post processors. So this is Siemens NX. SolidCam has nothing to do with post processors whatsoever. All of the post processing is done entirely through NX. So honestly, even from my side, I think I've maybe G-coded out of NX like 2 or 3 times. I think just to do, some test cutting on our machine here and our technology center. So post processors are handled by NX customers. From my side, that's a fantastic thing because we don't have to worry about post processors at all. When you go to a customer, they have their NX, their Siemens CAM post processor. So it just automatically works. These are just operations in the NX CAM part, and it just G codes. That's that simple. In 3D iMachining, is there an option to engage from outside in the open part? So in in 3D iMachining, and this is just a general thing for 3D iMachining, when we find a level to cut at, a Z level or a Z level, if it is open, we approach from the outside and we go in. So we only helical entry if there is no other option. Now, when we looked at the 3D iMachining part that I demoed here, if you wanted to work from the outside, you would have to pick smaller depth of cuts. So that way you could start cutting away some of it. But eventually you're in a cavity, and that cavity you need to do helical entry. There is an option in 3D iMachining to ignore closed pockets. This is an option we added, I think maybe 2 years ago in iMachining 3D. So if you have a tool that can't support helical entry, you can turn off closed pockets, and it'll machine everything it can without doing the closed pockets. And then you can say, for instance, you could just go add another tool that can do helical entry. iMachining for NX 2.0, for which version of NX? I am not exactly sure what that question means, but I think maybe I went over that with Andrea's question about what versions do we support, which is 9 and forward. Let's see. Can we use other software files in SolidCam? Can we use other software part files in SolidCam? I'm sorry, I don't quite exactly understand what that means. I mean, when I give, like I said, I'm gonna give a separate technical presentation that goes over the integration and kind of what you can do, because like I said, this is now using the full SolidCam, just like InventorCam and SolidCam are used. So it is the full product, but obviously we only, it's specific for NX, so we only have iMachining in there, iMachining 2D and iMachining 3D. So you can't just add HSM and 5-axis and all that stuff. So I'll have a technical presentation, and we'll have a meeting, and all of the tech guys can really ask some, really ask some pointed technical questions about how everything works, what are limitations, what can you do, as you saw, you could load the SolidCam simulator. So I'll try to go over and answer all this stuff and give a more technical background on the integration. Educational documentation for I don't know. I mean, at the moment, there is no plan to make educational documentation like we have for SolidCam and InventorCam. I assume the question is regarding to the I forget underneath the SolidCam website, when you go to EDU documentation, we have that I forget the name of the course, but it goes through SolidWorks and SolidCam, and kind of for educational, it kind of explains modeling and all that stuff. I don't know that we would do that for NX. I mean, I think for us, especially considering the fact that we are offering iMachining for NX Cam, you are still doing, I don't know, all of the modeling and everything is all done in NX. All the rest of the cam, drilling, HSM, 5-axis, all of that is done with NX Cam. So I don't know that we from our side would put out a document and training material that said, oh, here's how you model in NX. Then here is how you make drilling operations and face milling operations in NX. And also here's how you do iMachining for NX. I mean, maybe in the future, maybe we could do that, but I don't have any plan for that now. And we're not NX Cam experts, so I don't know that that's something we're gonna do, at least at the moment. How is the material changed in existing projects? So now we have the iMachining database ribbon. So now in the iMachining database, if you need to change the machine and material, you do it directly from here, and when you hit OK, it will update the CAM part with the new information. And if I remember correctly, we store on the part level, which I think this is different than previous, because I think before we used to store it on the workpiece in the CAM object. So now we store the machine and the material database are now stored as a part attribute in NX. Yeah, Ken, is enter only on open edges available? Yes, all of the options and checkboxes and everything that exist inside of normal SolidCAM are all here. So I forget if it's, I mean, as you see, we had the 3D passes. Maybe that's in cutting parameters. I mean, we got channels, the finish, the IRES data, motion controls, more. So I forget where the checkbox is for enter everything, but it's in here somewhere. Maybe it's in the linking or something. But yes, it is there. And if for any reason any option is missing, it literally is just a missing just the missing UI in the NX dialog. So it literally, these dialogues are done in XML. So literally there's just an XML definition for each button and its name, and then it connects automatically. So it's very easy to add any features to it that are not. Will it support CAM Pro for Solid Edge? Yes, I believe it does, because in the past, I think that product was called CAM Express for Solid Edge, and that was basically NX, Siemens NX. From my understanding, and it's been a few years since I've had the direct talk with Siemens, but CAM Express or CAM Pro for Solid Edge, it is NX. Okay, Ang, so you said it. So yes, it is Siemens NX, and I think they just limit modeling and stuff like that, and they just have a direct connection, so you can, from Solid Edge, you can translate your model directly into NX, and you can do CAM. So yes, our iMachining for NX product supports CAM Pro or CAM Express. So it did in the past, it still does now. I mean, if anybody actually has it and tries to do an install with it, it should just work. There is always the possibility in that version that our connector tool, maybe the connector tool won't automatically find the CAM Pro tool, but you should be able to just add the NX installation path, which is you know, it's probably going to be program file Siemens. It's probably going to be called CAM Pro or something like that, but it is where all the NX binaries and EXEs and everything are. And then if you pick it, it works the same way. They literally just named the product differently, but it is Siemens NX. Yeah, and any design change, yep, it detects like NX. Yep. Oh yeah, yep. This is, you know, any geometry, it's tagged to it, so it you know, I think you get the regenerate button or generate. I forget what they, you know, like I said, I'm not the NX expert, but I think the operation gets the little like the little symbol that it's out of date, and then you can update it. Okay. Well, I think that's all the questions. The main thing I want to leave here with is every single NX customer should have iMachining. I mean, we all know that iMachining is the single most technology you could add to your CAM, to your company, to make parts more efficiently, to extend tool life. I mean, it's like a no-brainer. And the best part about iMachining for NX, there's no post processors involved. You don't have to get into all the machinery and like, okay, do we have support for this? Do we have support for that? We are just iMachining 2D and 3D running inside of NX Cam. So all of the needs of the customers is fully supported by NX Cam. We are just adding iMachining 2D and iMachining 3D. It's a super simple, easy product to support. It's easy to install. It's easy to train. As you see, we use the same dialogues and everything that Siemens uses. There is, if I just create if I go in the mill planer and just, I don't know, let's just go make a floor facing without a wall. Okay. So I think you have the option to switch these to a tree view or not, but you can see we're using the same UI, the same things exactly as NX is. So it is a very easy product for customers to learn and for them to use. So tool helical angle. Okay, I got one last question, then we'll end it. Inside of the operation, in the technology wizard, we have the material, we have the tool material, and we have the helical angle. This is because and so for anybody this is the first time they're seeing Siemens for NX, NX does not have helical angle in the tool definition of their tools. So it was not something that we can just automatically take over. So the helical angle is added inside the operation here. So underneath the modified cutting angles. So 99% the UI is exactly as what you see in SolidCam, but there are a few little changes because some things we needed to add ourselves. All right, great. Well, thank you everybody for joining the meeting. As I said, we are really excited. This is something we worked really, really hard on the past year and a half. I think we decided to try to do this new version and bring it more closely aligned with our SolidCam and InventorCam products, and I'm very happy with where it turned out. I think we have an amazing future with this product. It's easy to support. Every customer should have it, and it's not something crazy and hard to sell and to get in the hands of customers. So and we got a really great future here, and everything is just going to get updated with every version. So yeah, we are really excited, really happy about this product, and it's a big milestone for us. So thank you very much. Everybody have a fantastic day, and talk to you soon.